Big welcome to the Buddhist Society from all over the world. Geshe is down in South Africa, just outside Johannesburg, and Gelong is out in Glastonbury. So, and many of you too are all over the world, scattered everywhere. So a very big welcome. My name is Desmond Biddulph. I'm the president of the Buddhist Society. The Buddhist Society has been around for quite a long time, started in 1924 with the oldest society almost in Europe, one of the oldest in the West. We're very keen only to support really what we think are the authentic teachers, because there are so many people, it's a desperate time for people spiritually starving. And so, you know, people get attracted to all sorts of things. We're very keen and adamant in our support only of those who are really authentic teachers, who will lead people in the right direction and who will truly nourish them in a spiritual way. So for that reason, it gives me enormous pleasure to do this afternoon introduction of the book, Finding Peace. And I have a copy of it here, Finding Peace. And I've looked at it and read it. It's a very nice book. It's simple, it's direct, straightforward. There's no obfuscation, and it delivers what it promises to deliver. You know, it speaks in the simple, ordinary language of the Dharma, understandable to anyone who might pick it up, and useful to people who've never been involved in Buddhism, to those, you know, who've come to Buddhism for the very first time. It's a good introductory book. And I should add, for those who've been practicing for a very long time, like myself, it has lots of little jewels in it and very helpful tips, and it's a lovely book to read. So without more ado, I'll introduce our speaker, Lama Yeshe Losal Rinpoche, who is the abbot of Samling Monastery and Tibetan Centre in Scotland. He's also director of the internationally acclaimed Holy Island Project and a retreat and meditation master. He's written a lovely book about himself, which you can find online. I won't go into that. And then now we have a question and answer, and we're joined by Gelong Thubten, who runs Sami Zong in Scarborough, a meditation center, as well as helping with centers in Cardiff, near Loch Ness. He's also trustee of the humanitarian and charity Rockpa International, and he's written A Monk's Guide to Happiness, which is a Sunday Times bestseller, and it's now being published in 12 countries. His next book, Handbook for Hard Times, will be published next year. But today we're dealing with this book, this beautiful book, and I'll hand over to you. The first thing about questions, you'll see a chat bar at the bottom. And if you have questions, please, however silly they might seem, don't be shy, because it is anonymized. You can just ask whatever question you like. And Gelong will do his very, very best to answer them. So with great gratitude to you both from us here at the Society, thank you. And over to you.
Thank you very much, Desmond, and thank you to the Buddhist Society for hosting this event to launch Lama Yeshe Rinpoche's book, Finding Peace. And I have the great pleasure of being able to spend this time now discussing with Lama Yeshe Rinpoche about his life and about his work. And I would like to ask Rinpoche I would like to begin, Rinpoche, by asking you a little bit about your own early experiences and how they've shaped who you are today. You wrote a fascinating autobiography called From a Mountain in Tibet. And in there you describe how you grew up in Tibet. You were born and grew up in Tibet. And then in 1959, you escaped as a refugee to India. And then finally you came to the West. And I'm just interested to hear you speak a little bit about your early experiences and how they gave you the wisdom and knowledge through which you are now able to guide people around the world.
First of all, I want to say good afternoon to everybody, whoever is watching me talking. And also, I want to thank you, Buddhist Society, and Odin and Desmond. Want to thank them because they've been very kind to me. It's genuinely true. we should never allow anybody to propagate non-Buddhist, unbeneficial teachings anyway. So we don't have to fight it. We don't want to say anything bad about it. We just need to help other people who are misguided and from not getting into wrong path. As far as my young age is concerned, I was born in a very remote area called Nain Chamdo, one of the two of the biggest rivers there. Now Chamdo is the capital of Kham Tibet. It's massive built up. My village, when I was there, 8 family, and we have maybe 8 to 10 children, very few population. We have a perfect environment, lot of trees everywhere. Because it's quite mild weather, it sounds like nothing like in Tibet. There is any crop you can grow. There's a lot of vegetations and very beautiful. But when I was 8, I've been told you have a very incarnate Lama who's your brother, and he is going to take you to his place to upbring and educate properly Buddhist way. So between my brother and we have maybe 2.5 years or 2 years, no more than that gap difference. So I don't have any recollection of when I was young. So then finally, when I was taken to his monastery, I have never been to that part of the world in my whole life. It's very high, very cold, freezing. There isn't hardly anybody. Everywhere is nomads. And then, because traditionally, if you're brother to a High Lama, you have to be properly educated and disciplined so that when I grow up, I meant to serve him and his monastery. So roughly 2 years, he really kept me like almost like in prison in the monastery because I never know any family there. I have no relatives there except him and my old brother, who was also, he's like general secretary. He was looking after us. So during that time then, I was only allowed to play one little boy who was a previous Lama's sort of relative son. Just one day I can play with him. Remaining, I never see any children. So I have to learn to read Tibetan alphabet very, very harshly. When we, because there was no light, as the day breaks, when you see your palm, you need to start to learn reading. It's a Tibetan tradition that you can't just read quietly. You have to read with a loud noise. And the idea is that you learn to read entire big page with one breath. So it was really, really suffering. So I was thinking of many times, I want to run away, but I have no clue which way is my family. So there was no choice of running away. So then Chinese took over Kham. Then we have one of Kajipahe Lama who's called Chujang Tungbar, who wrote a lot of books. He has been very successful in USA. He came through there and he was my brother's previous Lama incarnate. And they have strong, many lives connection. So they decided overnight there will be roughly no more than 100 people run away. So Chinese will never notice the Lamas are gone. So they never told the monks, monastery. So we headed up to Lhasa. But unfortunately, on the way to Lhasa, many Tibetan Lamas, families from all over Kham Tibet are running same way up to Lhasa to go to Dalai Lama. We thought then if Dalai Lama is safe, Lhasa, we will be safe. So we were going forward. So once we're going forward, as soon as maybe 3-4 days before reaching to Lhasa, then we've been told His Holiness have left Tibet and he is in Tibet, in India now. So we have to then go back because where I was born, our border is almost like Burma, above Burma. So we've been walking through the mountains and gradually we came down to Assam, India, which is terribly hot. Where we managed to get there there was no path, no road before, but the Indians have moved, we call border post there, and they bring cargo airplane to bring provision for the armies. And we have been taking back to Assam, tied it on the cargo plane on the floor, and then we are all giving plastic bags. So because we get vomit, you have to vomit in the plastic bag. When we land in Assam, so hot, tarmac was, if you walk on your feet, shoe get sort of jammed in there, that hot. It's the hottest part of India. Then within a short time, the Dalai Lama has arranged with Indian permission and also people who are willing to help 1,500 monks from all Tibetan sectors. So myself, my brother and Chujan, maybe a few of us managed to get to this place that's called Baksa Dua, where there was high prisoner camp before British Raj. And then it was also offered, food was, or rice was all warm and people get very sick. But then I got tuberculosis very badly. Then I was able to go and join with my brother in Delhi, and he managed to get some sponsor to take me to some Rajasthan, that big tuberculosis sort of hospitals. There was an American doctor. He is the only one who was capable of operating because of my tuberculosis on the left leg. So they said almost they have to cut down my lungs. So I don't know because I was all drugged. And then when I got up, I saw 4 or 5 ribs are cut off. At that time, there was no high-tech machine, so to able to cut that off. And that from there onwards, I had very difficult lung problem, difficult breathing. So because of my practice and my brother's help, I've been managed to stay gradually stay upright, not bent like this all the time. Then doing whatever I can to practice. So it took a long time, but then from there on, slowly.
And all of this is very fascinatingly described in your book From a Mountain in Tibet. But I want to jump forward in your story and ask you a little bit about when you went to America and you went into a very strict meditation retreat. You did 12 years of retreat. And I'd like to ask you a little bit about your retreats, because you undertook an incredibly diligent and extreme discipline in your practice. And I would like to ask you a little bit about your experiences in the retreat, how it was and how it felt when you first went in, and what kind of meditation program you were following.
What happens before that, I resisted to even believe in Buddhism and forget about practicing Buddhism. But our head of Lama, His Holiness Ramjong Rinpoche, he was so kind, he was so nice, he tolerated everything. And then one day, a very auspicious day in Woodstock, New York, then I have taken the highest Buddhist bhikkhu ordination there with many Rinpoches and many Lamas. So I was very fortunate to take this. Then coming to a conclusion that unless I lock myself in for so many years, I may break the vow or violate the Samaya. So I promise His Holiness I'll go into retreat. So His Holiness gave me the blessing. My brother also encouraged me. So I got beautiful cabin built there. So I've been doing this almost 12 years. What made me to have absolute faith and devotion to Buddhism and Lama is when I heard my guru is in Chicago, he has cancer all over his body, he might die any soon. So I decided I want to thank him, all the kindness he's shown me, looked after me all these many years. I have about $15,000 in the bank, very precious religious object. Everything I sent up to my abbot, Kimbokata Rinpoche, who was running the KTD. And when he offered this to His Holiness, Kamapa says, if he wants to send me all this, why not give me his fancy bed? Because I made a very fancy bed. And then I was so much devotion and I really want to do my best practice. But beginning first, maybe 1.5 years, it was torture. My mind is all over the place. I can't meditate. I can't settle. But I have been always fortunate. So we have the oldest, most renowned teacher, Lama Rinpoche, happened to visit there. He knows me before how bad I was. He came and he scolded me. He said, you are useless Kamba. When you do all the bad things, you're very courageous. You're determined to do everything very successful. Now you have a chance to practice. You're mooning yet. You're wasting your time. Ask Khenpo-Kata Rinpoche to give you Mlarepa's Namtra. So I asked him to give me 2 days I'm reading. Then I'm really crying. I thought there's no way. So their honors, I took absolutely determination. So it's like the Tibetan Buddhism called prostration. I start morning at 2:30 till I finish 1,200 prostration a day. Never give up. Before I went, I was very plump and I become so skinny and I don't seem to hear because I only have one food. And that is the Kamatriya delivers me the food. Some of cook think I need a lot of food. They send so much food. I can't eat, but you can't keep it. Woodstock is very warm. It can get rotten. So I have a window I throw behind the window. Then all types of animals come there. One day there's a raccoon and some other animal fighting. The raccoon throws this stinking smell. So I was sick for many days. It was a very, very bad experience. It's like really all the things people have go through. So my wood cupping have a cavity. So this US gray screw goes between these whole day and night. Then my below there cupping is lift up. So there's a we call beige. It's a beige, baja, under there banging the bottom. Then because they moved the temple where I before hooked up my toilet, shower, water, bathroom, everything into my room, then they have to cut it off. So I have none of this. Then they give me sort of camping, a little water cabin. So sit on the door, my releasing. But then I said, it's impossible for me to do it. I feel like maybe I can't succeed. So I said, dig in front of me a big hole, bring this toilet thing, put there. Then I use this, but below there, my steps, very big rattlesnake lines. I'm completely surrounded with all these animals. So gradually I accept it. I never hurt any of them. I was losing any fear, and I continued this for 12 odd years.
And then after you completed your 12 years, you then did an even more intensive retreat of 49 days in darkness, which you accomplished 3 times. And it would be very interesting for us to hear a little bit about that dark retreat. What is the purpose and how does it work, and how you felt when you were doing that, and what kind of meditation you were doing?
So my brother is very good in delegating me. He said, now you have done 12 years retreat. You should be able to help other people, but you still need some more practice. So he said he have checked every reliable teacher outside of Tibet. This one Lama who has this dark lineage, that is took Ojen Rinpoche, who is in Nepal, is father of many Nyingmapa Tukus. He was also, his owners consider himself as his teacher, but he is layperson. So he said, you have to go Nepal and ask him to give you dark retreat transmission. And his son, called Chuji Nyama Rinpoche, now he's running. He was my very good friend in Rumtek. He was also brought up by Kamapa. So I asked him, he said, okay, my father will give you transmission. I have Nagigompa that's up on top of Nepal. Below there, a dark retreat. And no way on Denmark guy wanted to do dark retreat. Ojin told him what to do. So the dark retreat is very filthy. Floor has no floorboard. And because there's no window, so from Sweden, Norway, there's a metal, pipe you can put on the top, then bring hole and the pipe bring into the room so there's air coming and you can breathe. But that was also because it's sometimes very windy, so day and night it's like wind coming, blowing everywhere. And I can't wash. Ground is floor is filthy, or room is no more than I think a meter and a half wide in square.
And you're in complete darkness, and also there's no sound. So it's a total sensory deprivation experience, isn't it?
Yes, because then I have we call Italian student. He's being very good to me, serving me, and he have to feed me. He have to do patches up on the top of the hill. But then there's some Nyingmapa yogis doing retreat, but they don't speak English. He can't speak their language. So it looks like he suffered more than I because he was so lonely. It's difficult to get anything up. So we went through difficult times, but I actually did succeed. The dark retreat, it was horrible because they.
Can you describe how it was horrible? Was it at first very frightening to be completely cut off from anything? Is it scary? Is it stressful? How does it feel in there?
No, the fear comes like within few days because you have not seen any light. You have always feeling of your eye can see everything. So sometimes I sit and I do like this. I'm thinking I'm seeing something. But then one day I was sort of lying down like this. My mind is all outside. I'm starting to see stars. Then I thought I was really having hallucination. How could this be possible? Looking up, counting the stars. Then I start to see outside more is everything inside, outside. but I didn't know anything else. Thinking myself, I'm getting crazy. Then that worst thing is happened 1 hour or lying down, then all the fearful animals all over my body. And then I thought, okay, it is hallucination. It's a hallucination. That has saved me, because if I think it's real, then I could never have succeeded this. So within 49 days, normally you have to wait, like you let light come in 3 days, then you come out slowly, then it won't damage your vision. But then that time, Tibetan New Year in Nepal, Thangu Rinpoche sent a monk with a car, say, come to New Year party, you have to come. So I didn't wait for the 3 or 6 days. I went down to Nepal. I had very cold Coca-Cola. I almost died. Completely, I almost died.
And how were your eyes? Could you see properly because you'd been in darkness for so long?
It took a long time, but then gradually I was able to see. But this is how a dangerous place darkness is. So then, somebody told me a story. In the dark retreat, you will have many experiences. Don't do anything or you'll hurt yourself. Because there's story saying one person who was doing dark retreat, he felt more hungry. So he saw a plate full of sausage. He want to eat it, but his teacher says, no, you mark it where the sausage is. Then when looking, it is in his belly. So if he tried to do anything, could have cut his belly. So there are many stories like this. But to make it short, Norwegian guy didn't succeed more than a few weeks. He couldn't do. He says, one Tibetan Lama says he will succeed. Nobody succeeds the dark retreat there. So then when I come back to Samling, I thought I have to have real full taste of a dark retreat. So Holy Isle, my log cabin built very perfectly for small tiny room with almost 2 walls. Then they install it but no light. And we test, then under floor, there's a ventilation so I can get oxygen. So Renato, again, was looking after me, but this time he can go down to retreat and bring my food up there. So I did retreat, but even the log cabin have many joints and 2 walls, but I start to still see some light coming in. So I did it 49 days, but then I was not happy with this. So my brother said, if genuine, authentic, according to Jamgon Puntra, you have to build a purpose-built dark retreat, which is in Samling Pure Land, a concrete block solid wall, but it is 2 levels. There's a corridor, then if you're in the dark, there's a railing. You can walk around like this on a railing. And then there's a shower at the back or toilet, but toilet and the wall is so short. If I go like this and not seeing, I bang my head all the time. So I thought this is very good lessons because you have to be so mindful. So then this house is almost like a human being. This top, there's a little air coming, but you will never see it. Then at the front, like chest side, there's a tiny hole in the outside door. Then there's one at the back of my wall. There's a tiny different type of shape, whichever 4 types of holes in that house.
And this is to let air into the retreat, is it?
Yeah. It's like a body. You have to breathe. But that is where total deprivation of light, sun, noise, everything. So first day I slept, managed to sleep, but then it was never like other retreat. I get completely disoriented because I have meditation box I'm sitting. It's facing and the door out there. I thought I'm coming out there. I end up the back there banging my head. So they gradually, my sleep completely gone.
So you didn't sleep for 49 days?
Roughly.
Wow.
Then I thought I have to find a solution. So there's a bamboo like a chair. And also that time, summer, I never took any warm clothes. It was cold. And then bamboo chair, I have a blanket wrapped up on me. I sit on the chair all the time. So even one day I missed my one day food because I thought it's still in the night. My nephew who brings food make noise outside there. I didn't hear. So then I didn't touch. The next day he's really shouting, say, what happened? You didn't eat? I said, I thought it's in the night and I never hear what you bang. So then gradually, really hallucination comes. So when one day I'm sort of sitting, my whole arm is, we call, what is it, white worm, which goes in a meat
maggots. Maggots.
Everywhere. My arm is maggot.
You could see maggots on your arm, like a hallucination.
Whatever happens. I thought it's no big deal. I just pull my arm out. I was able to do all this, but there was no fear.
No fear. Is that the purpose of this retreat, is to transcend all your fear? Is that the idea of the 49 days in darkness?
Yeah, so in the old Buddhist belief system, that when we die from the death till next life, whatever you take, there's a 49 days gap. If one is able to go through this type of darkness, you will never have any problem. It's like you pass to other side.
So it's a preparation for death.
Yeah, that's why it's called 49 days. Yeah. Yes. So it's, I think, more than half hours of day. I think we have to stop doing this. And they.
Well, I have some very specific questions about your book. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your life experience, but I wanted to ask you a few things about finding peace. Particularly, what I find very interesting in the book is your first chapter. The first chapter of the book is called Our Hidden Potential, and you talk in the book a lot about the pure nature of mind, the Buddha nature, and how this is so important as something for us to connect with through meditation. And I'd like you to hear you talk a little bit about that, please.
Yes, so then in Mayan Buddhism, we call Shini, and the other tradition was called the method Govinda Shamatha. There's another one, but the Vipassana. But there are many methods. But unless we fully concentrate our mind into something, we will be just going after like past thought or leading the future. And I put this example, car without, we call engine, wheels rolling. So if one reflect, doesn't matter day after day, we have two things going, past, future, past, future. So if you are able to first engage, that is not going any way. So you can trying to focus on not chasing the past, not leading the future, but trying to remain in the present moment. But nobody says they can't manage. Oji Rinpoche, my teacher, said to me, you don't have to be so ambitious. For beginners, even 1 second, if you're able to be in the present, you keep on making effort more and more. It's like mud block, brick building. You keep on trying again and again, again and again. So next time, maybe 2 seconds, then 3 seconds, 4 seconds. That's how we can get into a place where we don't have to be bothered or past or future. So if we succeeded this, then many people think, oh, I want to investigate. Who is thinking this? Who is doing this? So Mahayana, Buddha's wisdom is, there is one thing in the whole universe, our mind, who is the quality of examining one's own self and also as well as experiencing. So if you can examine yourself and experiencing, then you look into who is that experiencing or examining, then you can never ever pinpoint. So when you can never ever pinpoint, then Buddhism say looking inwardly means you see there isn't anything out there or in here. It's not called nothingness, that's called nihilist, but there is something beyond that, that's called awakened mind, what Buddhism called Buddha got enlightenment, means awakened his mind. Everything is in that mind.
And in your book, you give some very practical instruction around how to investigate the thoughts. You talk about trying to find the thoughts and then not finding them and looking, do they have a shape or a color? Can you talk a little bit about that, and also whether one practices that with thought or also emotion? Could you talk a little bit about that?
You have to use alternative methods. So people sometimes say when you can't able to maintain in the present, you could put a small object in front of you, so you don't have to do any change of your sitting. He only says your nose length. So he says your European nose is very good, big, so you can actually see through this easily. Tibetans have flat nose, so they have much problem. Whichever way you can put something on the object, and focus your mind on that object. When it starts to give you a hard time, then look into the mind. Who is doing this? Why I can't, if I'm not asked anything, but being focused on the object, it gives me hard time. If I am trying to be in the present, it gives me hard time. So that way then you start to investigate. See if it's outside, inside, what color, what shape, what form. Then if you can't see inside, outside, shape, color, form, that's called Buddha mind.
And when emotions are arising, can one also do the same kind of investigation with emotion, trying to find it or investigate it?
Yeah, many people say, yes, but I have emotion. Emotion is a part of the mind, see. Without mind, you can't exist. Emotion can't exist. Emotion it's like inseparable part of the mind itself. If you know that the future emotion will never bother you, because you know it is nothing more than this meaningless emptiness. So emotion means nothing. That's what you engage, because people say, oh, I'm all right, I can think, I can do many things, but I have a big emotional problem. So you don't have to be that way. Say emotion is a part of the mind itself.
Thank you. And also in your book, you talk a great deal about the importance of compassion and forgiveness. And I think the word compassion is often, people have lots of different ways of understanding that word, and perhaps sometimes it becomes a case where people think it's just about feeling pity or feeling sorry for others, and it's just a sort of emotional experience. But I think in Buddhism, the definition of compassion is something far deeper. So I wanted to ask you how you define compassion. How would you describe it or explain what it is and how to practice it?
In Buddhism, compassion is completely different from what a European or new student think compassion. Your knowledge is like feeling pity, sorry for them. You think that's compassion. Buddha Dhamma's teaching, compassion means unconditional. It's like you have a really, really unconditional compassion to those beings who are suffering. And also many of students who practice, and then they say, I have really big compassion to the world and all the misery and the suffering, but you are very capable of torturing yourself. So may I suggest all of you, you never torture your Buddha mind. You have to let the light come in, so then your Buddha nature can shine the light out. So you have to have compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, key to everything. Forgiveness, tolerance, unconditional compassion to yourself. So never blame for yourself. And then you can have similar unconditional compassion to all mother sentient beings. That is the perfect Buddhist way of thinking. Like you can absolutely change. When I was young, I was so excited, like cats, like killing things, animals, anything I can succeed as a child. Maybe it's not my fault because the children don't have any toys. I think toys getting and killing and catching. But then now I am so sorry for even ants in front of me, tiny ants running everywhere. It sometimes goes on my head everywhere. Never even dare to touch. I was praising, you're coming here to remind me of you did hurt many of us in your earlier life, or maybe who knows, other lifetimes. Now you are practicing, you have to liberate. So I always bring them into my prayer. And then Bodhisattva vow every morning I take in my prayer, saying, I first want to do a long life prayer for all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas so that they can succeed to live a long life and guide and help other humanity. And I also saw compassion, pray for 35 Buddha family, for those who keep on asking me for who died, ask them, saying I have to help them, and who's doing the whatever doing. I dedicate all them. I'm remind every time I can catch my mind, say, may I never have any negative, harmful thought ever arise. So you could always learn that nothing more than habit building due to the compassion, loving kindness of Buddha.
Thank you. And for my last question, I would like to ask you a little bit about your reflections on what we've been through in the world over the last 18 months with the coronavirus pandemic and the stress and suffering that has come with that, and maybe some reflections on how people can move forward and evolve from this experience. Because I know many people are saying, when can we get back to normal? But do we want to go back to normal, to how things were before? Was normal even really working for us as a culture? And perhaps there's a chance now to evolve spiritually, evolve our consciousness through the experience we've all been through. I wonder if you could share some reflections about that with us.
I think this we call killer disease. It does not discriminate. The rich or powerful have no privilege extra. Everybody, whether you're rich or powerful or poor, everybody is going one path, means this sickness. When I was in Samling, I watch news, and all the times are like London, we go up in the subway, nobody ever look each other or talk each other. They're busy like ants moving around. It is impossible lifestyle to lead that way. People's minds are completely lost, thinking of accumulation. But the people who did succeed have no benefit, satisfaction. The more you have, more you want. Then this disease brought many community together. I see people, neighbors talking to each other. I see all this, everybody helping each other. It has really made the world to see that it's time to help. And even some wealthy person giving his country house, or some guy who have 5 children are stuck in the top floor, giving few months of holiday in his apartment, not asking money. Then it shows everybody have a generosity, everybody have a compassion. And even so in London street, these goats running everywhere in the street eating grass. Animals are coming because there's nobody harming them. It is wonderful to see this. So I thought it's even though it was a very bad disease, it has given the little chance of healing the planet Earth, because before nobody want to give comfort, luxury. Everybody flies aeroplane, especially our cheap flight. So little money, people can go everywhere. They're supposed to be worst polluters. Then you can see how carelessly we throw everything in sea, and it is completely killing a lot of animals. It's also making a lot of plants die. And when I was in Samling, wherever I go, I ask a little young boy, a young girl, say, I want you to be my warrior, and say, promise from now on, onward, you want to do the same thing and trying to protect. And I have a very nice young Indian doctor's boy. He said he will be marina, learning to be, and he will make a machine so that machine can go underneath the sea and clean up all the garbages. There's so many people everywhere in the world doing change. So I think it's beautiful. That's why my holy island be so successful. You can see this 45,000 plants are planted. People coming from all faith, walk ground, no discrimination. So I think if everybody learn to share, take good care of the Mother Earth, and if we can always help ourselves by not wanting more, always wanting less, not more, learning to share, give whatever extra you have. If you're able to do all this, world will be, I assure you, absolutely much better place.
Thank you. It's very inspiring to hear your reflections on these topics. And I think now we have some time for our audience to ask you some questions. People can maybe write the questions in on the chat function on Zoom, and I'll read them out and ask them to Lama Yeshe Rinpoche.
Yes, you almost guided me to almost 5 o'clock.
Do you have a little bit more time, maybe 10 minutes? We can see if there are some questions.
Well, I can answer everything. I don't want to give up my responsibility.
Thank you.
All these wonderful people facilitating, but my voice is breaking down, so I've been drinking so much water. It's hot here.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to... Yeah, I see some coming in. Somebody's asking, is it necessary to go on long retreats to tame the mind? What about lay people who don't have the opportunity to do such rigorous retreats?
Oh, there's no excuse. At least you can bring awareness, mindfulness. I'm eating, I'm drinking, I'm working. Always say, I need to develop or change my attitude to every humanity. Means I want to improve my true loving kindness, compassion. So mindfulness, actually in Buddhist words, means you have to remember to hold it into the essence of your mind. So if people do the right thing with unconditional compassion, it will bring all the results. So the better many yogis don't need to go many years of retreat. They have unconditional devotion to their teacher. Then you follow his teaching. So first I want to ask lay people, never to ask anybody to be your teacher, because you might end up in very wrong hand. You suffer all the time. First, find authentic teacher. When you find authentic teacher, then the teacher gave you a method, and then you follow that. You can succeed as a label.
Thank you. And there's another question which says, thank you very much for your wonderful talk and how you managed in a 49 days of dark retreat when I would be unable to manage 49 minutes. How is it possible to find peace with a family member who cannot themselves find peace due to their illness?
First of all, you use your family member, and then also especially someone who's sick. You could completely be kind, compassionate, don't argue, make sure you serve them, you help them, you do everything you can to help them, and always remembering they have a Buddha mind. And I am serving Buddha mind. So if you think, change the way you think, and you can really learn, change so much with having a family member sick.
Thank you. And there's a question that's come in from my good friend Jamie, who's saying to you, thank you. I loved your first book and I'm looking forward to this one. So much wisdom today. Thank you. How long should one meditate each day for an intermediate level practitioner? And also, what length of retreat would you recommend for the first one somebody attempts?
First of all, it's a habit building. So every day you need to get up earlier, do 30 minutes or half hour or 1 hour morning meditation before you do anything. Once you finish the meditation, then you're trying to bring the awareness into your life. If you're going to job, you think, I'm going to go to job, I'm driving, I'm going in the train, or if you're chopping something, cooking something, every place where you see things, you have to something to remind yourself to become awareness, bring awareness. Then gradually, when your mind is come up, then you can also meditate in the evening before you go to bed more. And then you think, have I managed to do the morning meditation and the planting the seeds, bring into daytime? You have to double check it. And then you could also remember this morning. So you need to planning, continuation, double checking. You continue, this will absolutely bring the benefit. In retreat wise, if you have a time, short retreat won't have any benefit, because first of almost, half year, we are thinking about past, future, what you have given up, or you have to give up. So it never make any differences. If you go a year or so, then you can settle. So short retreat will not benefit. Longer retreat is necessary.
I think if people have family commitments and it's impossible for them to do 3 months or a year, do you think there is still benefit in maybe 10 days or something shorter if it's completely impossible to take a longer time?
For when you're meditating, you're learning, you have to be kinder and a nicer, better person. So you don't shout to your family, children, wife. So if you are, every time they see you're kinder, nicer, calmer, stable, You can ask their permission. Is it possible for me to do some retreat? I'm doing this for all of us. They will give you in. But if you meditate, they usually put all of them saying, I'm meditating, don't make noise, don't come near me. If you're shouting, don't meditate, I think you're following the wrong path.
Then there's a question that says, many people who are anxious or depressed or feel bad about themselves feel that if they undertake spiritual practice, everything will get worse. How do you begin?
Because you're very impatient, you're a very intolerant person. You just the minute you meditate, you give some time to practice, you think you should be changed person. Impossible. So be more patient, more tolerant, more eager to willing to invest. So you say depression, then your mind is going after depression. Intolerant. So you're wasting totally nothing, no benefits will come.
Do you think that's because of labeling oneself too much and labeling oneself as I am depressed, I am anxious, and then we solidify it? Do you think that's the issue?
Yeah, that's why I say this sort of person should be, when you say I am, who I am. When you come to this world, it's not called I am. It is a label. So if you look into examine yourself, there is anybody called I who's depressed or suffering. So you have got a wrong end of the stick.
And what is the best way to examine oneself and to ask oneself that question, who am I? What is the technique for examining the existence or non-existence of the self?
Well, you have to think this is the only solution to my situation, because if I meditate, I can't succeed. If I give into depression, it never change me better. I get worse. Not only you can actually cause a lot of harm to your family, your friends, because your brain, it's like depression, dizziness, all of the family. The family cannot be happier or better because you're depressed. If you're happy, they will be happy. If you are depressed, if family is trying to be happy, you'll shout them, why is they all so happy, I'm so depressed? So it's your fault, everything.
And would you recommend investigating the depression or the anxiety in the same way as you described investigating thoughts, asking where it is or where it comes from?
Yeah, it's the same, because it's a different labels. They're all same.
Thank you. There's been a few questions coming in about Samling. People are very inspired to come and visit Samling and also to find genuine teachers. And so there are some questions about when it will be possible to visit Samling. Currently we're closed, and when do you think that situation might change?
I want to let everybody know Samling has about 5 people. Out of these, there's 6 or 7 people. One is almost 100 years old. He has a very bad disease. The 3 or 4 people have a lot of problems. So my nephew saying, I'm not going to sacrifice their life because we open so early. If they get corona, they are going to die. So he doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about letting people come in. What he's saying is, even if I open certain portion of the Samling, then there is a lot of we call job involved due to the corona disease, distance, hygiene, cleaning, and he hasn't got any of this up there right now. So hopefully, maybe when UK is more, everybody is covered free, or they have got 2 jabs, maybe sometime next year, then if be able to open it fully, tell that they have to forgive them and tolerate.
Thank you. And there have been some questions about the best way to deal with physical pain and illness. What is the best technique for working with the physical suffering of sickness?
You should all know that I have a very bad sciatica.
Sciatica, yes.
And then the doctor saying it almost went inside the bone. So impossible to operate, cure. So I have a completely lot of pain in my hip. Buddha Dhamma says, if you accept your pain, only one pain, you resist pain, two pain, resisting pain, the pain of your mind or body pain. So stop resisting, accept everything, then you will be able to tolerate.
So is that how you work with your own pain? Do you find that your relationship with the pain is very different because of meditation?
Of course, that's why I get up more than 2 o'clock something in the morning, and then I practice solid 4 hours sitting in one place. I can tolerate. I always just know there's something coming, but it doesn't matter anymore. So we need to learn to accept. And I've been in this situation for now almost 2-3 years. And still, I've been working, helping. Even I'm here, I get hundreds of emails, people asking me to help. So I always answer, email, help. And everybody thinks that I have been able to help them. So I have a rejoicing of helping people who are suffering. And I think we should have the joy of being able to help and share, give. It should be our joy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's probably sort of the end of our session, but maybe Desmond will come back on the screen to sort of wrap things up. Let's see.
That was wonderful. A really intriguing talk. And, so many teachers of meditation, they can talk the talk, but they haven't walked the walk, So it's really good to hear someone who has, been through enormous difficulties in life, who has mastered them, overcome them, and then at the end, towards the end of life, come back and been able to give the fruits of their life and their wisdom and particularly their spiritual practice. It's a very uplifting thing to see, and it's a great privilege to be with you, Yeshe, Lama Yeshe. It's a wonderful thing, and you are a real example of someone who doesn't bear malice. There's lots of reasons why you should be angry with the world. You suffered a lot through illness and privation. You saw your community being decimated and destroyed, and your country being torn apart. And you come back with love and affection and tolerance, and also generosity. The generosity to spend your time teaching and helping people who are in difficulties, and not accumulating, money and trying to, be a big wheel, So it's lovely and a great privilege, and I thank you very much indeed. And also thank you, Gelong. It's lovely that you, you are here to be able to ask the right questions. There's so many questions could be asked, but you asked the right questions, and the whole afternoon has been most enjoyable and for me anyway, very gratifying. Anyway, don't forget that both the society and Samling are, we're all dependent on donations and funds and wonderful people like Lama Yeshe. So please, if you have a spare coins in your pockets, you can throw a few in Lama Yeshe's direction. It should be.
First, I want to thank you, Desmond, and your son, that when Buddhist Society is facilitating this. I want to remind all of you again, I still never call myself teacher. If anybody come to me, if they believe in the Gelong, I ask them to, if it's possible, go to His Holiness Dalai Lama. He is one of the greatest example of teacher. And if you are you go to corporate Lama, I never ever claim I am teacher. I always guide them. As far as the we call forgiveness is concerned, we in our school, in every school, we have millions of Chinese following Buddhism. We all say all Chinese are never bad. Policy is a problem. So we teach everybody loving kindness, compassion, tolerance. So it will benefit every human being. So I think always anybody must guide it. I always go to say, okay, go to the Dalai Lama and his guru, and we should always help to guide misguided people and not manage to take unfortunate people. So with that, I wish everybody who come to participate, and I ask now, I personally don't save money or need money. This time, anybody can offer money, offer to Buddhist Society, because Buddhist Society and Desmond, he always helping every group. He is the umbrella of all different schools. So I want to everybody, you want to help the Buddhist Society. With that, I want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, again, just maybe the last words to thank you both for really a wonderful afternoon, really warm-hearted, lovely afternoon. Thank you so much, and good practice to everybody. And keep your eyes on the Buddhist Society website. We've got lots and lots of teachings open to everybody. So please, I hope to see you again soon. And Yeshe.
Thank you.
And Gelong, thank you, Lama Yeshe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Yes.